Opposite-sex friendship, is it too close? TLDR. Opposite-sex friends, is it too close? I'm dating a guy who has a girl best friend and I am at a point where I am really uncomfortable with how close they are. I've, 27, been seeing a guy, 26, for over 6 months. From the beginning, we established that we both have best friends of the opposite sex, and I told him I was fine with this. He would occasionally mention his best friend, and I thought it was normal when he said he values her opinion. However, I began to notice that they still spoke daily, even after she moved to Australia almost a year ago. They share their locations and maintain a close connection. Recently, he asked for my help with a personal statement, but he mentioned that she was already rewriting it for him. I suggested it would be better to keep it between them since they share a pharmacy background, but he insisted and I still ended up helping. When it came time to finalize it, I saw that he had taken about 90% of her input and barely any of mine, which felt like I was sidelined. This situation made me reflect on how he often says he needs time to think after our disagreements, sometimes not finding clarity until he speaks with her. He has mentioned her thoughts during our discussions, which oftentimes makes me feel like her opinions are prioritized or trying to put it on the same level as mine. What troubles me further is that she shares intimate details with him, including her sexual encounters and personal issues like having bacterial vaginosis. I find it concerning that they have such close and daily communication, as it feels like they're crossing boundaries that should exist in a friendship. In a relationship, I believe no one should feel like they're sharing their partner or be in a three-way dynamic. There was also a moment when she assumed she should sit in the passenger seat while I sat in the back when we were all together. That felt disrespectful and emphasized how close they are. I told him I don't blame her for how she acts, but I believe he should have made clear distinctions and boundaries. It feels like she behaves with a girlfriend entitlement rather than just as a friend. When I asked him if we two would share our locations one day, he seemed almost defensive and immediately brought up trust, insisting he hadn't done anything wrong. That wasn't my intention. I was just trying to understand our boundaries. After the essay incident, I confided in a friend who has many guy and girlfriends and is an advocate for still maintaining healthy friendships with the opposite sex too, even whilst in a relationship. I mentioned all of my discomfort and the scenarios that led to this, including that they not only have one message thread, but also her main and spam Instagram accounts, Snapstreaks, and WhatsApp chat. My friend said it was weird, which only made me feel worse. This is someone who believes in healthy opposite-sex friendships, so hearing her say that made me question my feelings even more. I don't know why I thought she would help calm me and tell me I'm just overthinking, or even help me see a different perspective like usual. With my own guy best friends, one overseas and one here, we established boundaries once we entered relationships and spoke of this even whilst being single. My chats with my overseas friend naturally faded, but years later we are still very close and still talk as if months haven't passed whenever we do finally have a catch-up. With my local friend, we agreed to keep things respectful, rarely hanging out alone. This was also the same when I was single. We never hung out alone unless it was in public. I am still close with him, and we still do chat every few days. I do also have 2 girl best friends I share deep conversations and relationships with, but obviously that for me is normal. My friendship with guy best friends are still strong. The only difference is the relationship with them has shifted out of respect for my relationship, and also because it just happened naturally. When I expressed my discomfort to him, I told him that it feels like he values her opinions more than mine, whether about movies or activities. This is because I was reminded of the time I had asked if we could read together, and he had said no, but when she recommended a book, he was very excited to read it. Another moment that made me feel weird on top of a gut feeling I just keep having even though he hasn't given me a reason to not trust him. I always just chucked it down to me overthinking. I told him I appreciate his efforts to reassure me, but my concern isn't about trust. It's about how their relationship resembles something more romantic. I made it clear that I don't want her to be cut off, but I'm questioning why their daily communication hasn't changed since she moved away and why nothing seems different since we've been together. He kept insisting he didn't want to lose her as a friend and didn't want to hurt her feelings. I explained that friendships with the opposite sex typically slow down when someone is in a relationship, and I don't understand why that hasn't happened with them. I tried to use examples from my own friendships to illustrate how it's possible to establish boundaries. Despite my attempts to communicate my feelings, he seemed confused and unable to understand my perspective. Now I'm left wondering if I'm being too much or if my feelings are valid. I have never had this issue with my past relationships, and we had best friends of both sexes. On hindsight, some aspect would be that of a normal relationship if it was same sex. But guys and girls are different, which is why I expected boundaries would be there. The boundaries that I require in feeling safe, secure, and respected in the relationship is not there, and in bringing up my needs in order to reach that common ground, I felt I was not being heard. What should I do? What's a good common ground where no one will get hurt? Edit. The friendship between them is 2 years now, and it is one he curated during his last relationship a few months before he ended his 7-year relationship with his ex, due to other reasons, of course. Also, I just want to make it clear, she doesn't seem like she's doing anything on purpose or with malice. She is just too comfortable because they never set the boundaries of the friendship. My problem is not with the girl because at the end of the day it's between me and the guy I'm seeing.